Hey everybody, it's Andy McNamara with you, getting ready for the NFL draft. Now my full first round mock draft is up on Sportsnet.ca. I also have it on Twitter at AndyMC81 and Instagram at AndyMCSports. You can see the first round 1 through 32 there. I'm going to focus on picks 1 to 10 though right now because things are evolving and they're getting interesting. I'll have my full mock draft, my final one, 2.0, up the day before the draft, so next Wednesday. First round of the draft, of course, goes on Thursday. So pick number 1 has to be Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals. It just does. There's no point getting cute about it, overthinking it. It's going to be Joe Burrow, especially since some word came out. Now, it's all part of silly season in the NFL. We know there's lots of rumors and who knows what's true or not. But apparently, the Cincinnati Bengals are already going over their playbook with Joe Burrow. They're taking Joe Burrow out of LSU. The guy set records. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's a national champion. He's from Ohio. It makes too much sense even for the Bengals to screw it up. So Joe Burrow is going to Cincinnati. Number 2, Chase Young to the Washington Redskins. Again, you never know with an organization like Washington with owner Dan Snyder. He might screw it up. But if he just stays put, takes Chase Young, you have a perennial Pro Bowl, the skill set to have a Hall of Fame career. He broke all of the Bosa brothers' records at Ohio State. Folks, I've seen Chase Young. The strategy one time, or a few times, with opposing teams was, all right, we're not even going to block him. They sent the left tackle away because they thought he's so good and he has so many different varying moves and hand techniques and speed and power, you can't stop him. So what they did was they just let him through to the quarterback, so the quarterback would just dump it over the top to the running back, and okay, off you go. What Chase Young did, and this is what stands out to me to think he is the best actual overall player in this draft, he saw this coming, he stopped, cut on a dime, ran back, and still tackled the running back who caught the pass for a loss. Chase Young is the real deal. You take him if you're Washington. Just make it simple. Now the draft really begins to me at number 3. Could somebody like a Miami trade up with their 3 first-round picks this year and 2 second-rounders and a pair of first-rounders next season? Sure. Maybe a team listens to that. Maybe Cincinnati does. Maybe Washington does if they fear the Chargers are going to jump up and take their guy. But really, I think the draft begins the intrigue at number 3 with the Detroit Lions because there's different directions you can go. You can go Jeff Okudah, cornerback. Lions certainly need that. But in my mock, I went with Isaiah Simmons. And Isaiah Simmons, the reason I went with him is because, well, Matt Patricia is a defensive coach, comes from the Belichick tree, loves to get creative. What is Isaiah Simmons? He's a toy for a defensive-minded coach, people. Could be a linebacker, he could be a safety, he could be a nickel, he could be all of them. Now the problem becomes at the pro level, if you're a jack of all trades, masters of none, where do you fit in? Is that a concern when he's being interviewed? That's going to be a question. But from a talent, from an athletic freak side of things, Isaiah Simmons, I think makes a lot of sense for the Detroit Lions at number 3. Because you can plug and play him. And Matt Patricia, it's a pretty deep class for corners. Maybe waits and get somebody else a little bit later on. And it all depends where they see Isaiah Simmons. But at this point, at number 3, I have the Lions staying put. And they take Simmons. Again, if they get an offer, maybe it's Miami jumping up a couple spots or the Chargers to leapfrog the Dolphins to get their quarterback. That could happen. At 4, you go with the New York Giants. And the Giants, they could go with Derrick Brown here because he is the SEC Player of the Year. He is somebody where you plug him in, you're good for the next decade in the middle of your line. But the Giants need to focus, especially Dave Gettleman, who I think his seat's going to start getting hot. He fired Pat Shurmur, rightfully so, head coach. And now it's, all right, what are you going to do to win now? You got to protect your quarterback. You do. And they need to upgrade on that offensive line. So offensive tackle, it is a deep class, especially the top 4. So they're going with Mekhi, Becton. Dave Gettleman affectionately calls linemen hog mollies, the big boys, right? Doesn't get any bigger than Mekhi Becton, folks. Okay, Mekhi Becton, 6'7", 364 pounds, an athletic freak. Now, he is a bit raw in the sense that the techniques need to be refined, but here's the benefit if they take him. They could pop Becton on the right tackle side. You still have Nate Solder for another 2 years under contract, so at least for this year, you can keep Solder over there, ease Becton him in, get him the NFL experience, and then transfer him over. So it's a projection. I'm sort of getting a little bit of a Greg Robinson vibe from Becton because he's such an athletic freak and tested brilliantly at the combine like Greg Robinson did, and then kind of fell flat and never really caught on. So there is that risk, but he's too much of a freak, and I think the Giants bite and take Mekhi Becton, first offensive tackle off the board to protect Daniel Jones. Now, if everybody stays put and there's no trades, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. Here is the fascinating part. Do they take Tua out of Alabama? The guy who the ceiling is sky high, but he is incredibly injury prone, folks. And think about it. How many times do you see somebody, pick your sport, who is injured in the minor leagues or college, whatever, injuries every year, nagging, whatever, comes to the pros and they all go away? Not very often. Now for Tua, it's not just the hip you have to worry about. He's had 2 ankle surgeries. He's had wrist injuries. He's had concussion. He's had a broken nose. He's had broken fingers. There's lots to look at for Tua, who doesn't necessarily protect himself the best as a mobile quarterback. He can make all the throws. He can wow you. Another part a lot of people aren't talking about either with Tua, he's a left-hander. So what happens is I find when I was watching some game film, on a lot of the snaps, not all, but a lot of the snaps, when the ball is snapped to him, he takes it as a right-handed quarterback and then shifts to the left. Now, those you can get away with in college, but that's a precious second and a half in the NFL where those windows are going to be closed. So are we going to see the beginning of Tua's career where he struggles a bit and maybe he has some turnovers, maybe he has to run more, maybe that results in more contact and the durability issues come up? I'm not saying it can't be fixed with good coaching. It can be, but Tua, in this case, I do have Miami taking him. The big wildcard that nobody knows, how did the medicals check out? You hear pros, cons, you hear whispers that it did, it didn't, whatever. And then even if the hip is fine, how does the rest of his career go when he's been injured every season multiple times all over his body? To me, I would not take Tua, but I think the Dolphins do. Then to the Chargers, next best available quarterback, and maybe even more so than Tua, Justin Herbert out of Oregon. Guys, if you were going to sculpt a QB, 6'6", mobile, thick frame, can make passes at every level. Trouble with Justin Herbert to me. And again, this is a case where if he lands with the Chargers, you could have him sit for a bit behind Tyrod Taylor as kind of the stopgap guy and have him go from there. And maybe have him sit for a year and learn. The trouble to me with Justin Herbert, I saw it at the combine, then I went back and saw it a little bit during his game film. Watch his eyes. I think he looks down his receivers. I think he gets locked in too much. And instead of letting the ball loose, he's very accurate. You look at his numbers, great accuracy. But you look, he aims instead of letting it loose, if that makes sense. He watches the receiver. He's slower to go through his progressions. Once he lets go of the ball, look good, real good. And the guy's quick. I'm feeling he kind of has a Josh Allen type of vibe to me, where if he, again, gets the right coaching like Josh Allen did and progresses and takes his work ethic really seriously, he has all the tools to be really special. So the Chargers go there. Now, if it's me, though, Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma, who's probably going to go in the second round, I feel Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma is going to be the second best quarterback in this draft class when it comes, everything's said and done for an NFL career. The guy, you look at the stats, he runs a lot, Andy. Well, he does, but he protects himself, and his throwing has come along. His footwork has been very impressive. His drop back, his accuracy, he leads receivers. I'm very bullish on Jalen Hurts, but he doesn't make it into the top 10. Then at number 7, the Carolina Panthers. And in this case, remember, we had the Detroit Lions take Isaiah Simmons. So Jeff Okudah out of Ohio State, the cornerback, which many people have going higher, which I could also see, is taken by the Panthers. They love it. They have a need at cornerback. They lock him in. All right, you extended Christian McCaffrey, Teddy Bridgewater. You took care of the offense. Now time to help the D. Jeff Okudah. Again, this is somebody who could be an all-star and a Pro Bowler from day one. He's tall, he's fast, he can hang with receivers, he's not too handsy. Jeff Okudah's the real deal. Number 8, Arizona Cardinals. Okay, you made that trade for DeAndre Hopkins fleecing the Houston Texans. Again, you want to protect your quarterback, especially the diminutive, the tiny Kyler Murray, and you really got to protect him from himself. He's got to be able to move around. He needs a little bit more time. He needs those throwing lanes, maybe to scamper away as well. So you got a left tackle sort of tied up for now, and this is where again you can project a little bit. You could maybe move people and pieces around. I say you take the best natural left tackle. Now, even if you got to play him on the right side, I would move Andrew Thomas out of Georgia to the left. 4-year starter. Guy has been an absolute stud when it comes to the left tackle. Could his technique be cleaned up? Sure. But he's got the longest arms measured out. Depends how you take that. I do consider that for a tackle because you want to lead people around, right? So Andrew Thomas, most natural left tackle, not projection. He's done it. Tackle, they play it safe. That's where the Cardinals go. Now, number 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They virtually sprint to the podium because they all have to do the draft from their homes, of course, right? Derrick Brown, as I said earlier, SEC Player of the Year. Wouldn't shock me if he goes higher, maybe even to the Giants. As high as that, maybe even to the Lions. But in this scenario, in this mock draft, how everything is shaken out, he falls. The Jags get a steal. Now, could they go cornerback? Sure, but you're losing Okudah just went. Why not get the best defensive tackle? Somebody, again, you can pop him into the middle of your D-line, and that's going to help Jacksonville maybe get back to that reputation they had not that long ago being a nasty defense. Derrick Brown makes a whole lot of sense out of Auburn. Then number 10, the Cleveland Browns. Offensive line is an absolute must. Do you need a safety? Yes. I think it's too early for an Xavier McKinney, for example. You got to go O-line. You spent all that money getting Jack Conklin for right tackle, solidified. You got Treader at center. You got Batonio at left guard. You need the left tackle. And in this case, Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. Primarily played on the right side, but did have 4 starts at left tackle. So there is that experience. He's gotten great offensive line coaching in Iowa. And Wirfs is a guy with all the athletic upside. And we have to remember, under this Kevin Stefanski offense, it's the same that Kyle Shanahan run, Gary Kubiak, going way back, even a variation of Mike Shanahan, the old Denver Bronco days. This is where more athletic linemen are needed. Not necessarily the bull rush beast guys, the maulers, to push you up front. You need somebody who's going to be able to move athletically, horizontally, and keep that line going so that when the hole appears, the running back can cut. So this offense, this wide zone scheme, needs more of an athletic type of lineman, and Wirfs is the best on the board. I could argue he's the top overall offensive tackle in this draft. So the Browns take Tristan Wirfs. They have Jack Conklin. They got that line to protect Baker Mayfield, and off they go. So that's the top 10 for the full mock draft, my full 1.0. You can go on sportsnet.ca. I have it on Twitter at AndyMCD1, Instagram too, at AndyMCSports. I will have my final mock draft, my official predictions, mock draft 2.0 on Wednesday. And then lots of draft coverage, reaction right here on the Sportsnet YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and give me a follow on social media.